And UL certified it without any overcurrent protection in it from the factory. And I'm going to use my new Weller soldering iron to put a fuse in it. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take some sandpaper here and get the contacts here that I'm going to be soldering to nice and sanded up so I get a nice flow through with the solder. Okay, we got a nice sanded off connection here, and we're just going to get that down out of here. I'm going to go get my sponge. We're going to use some 18 gauge wire here. And I'll be cutting off what I don't use. And I'll turn this around this way. Set the wire stays where you want it while I'm soldering it. And I have some flux here in case it So this is rosin core solder. So I'll dip it in the flux here a little bit and just get a little flux up here. Some down here. Okay, so I'll clean my tip on the sponge here. got a nice clean solder joint there. I'll let that cool a minute and I'll turn it over and take a look at the other side. Boy, I got a real nice solder joint here. Okay, so we're going to take this yellow wire off here, and that yellow wire is going to go over to the fuse block. But I want to show you something before I do that. There is some very sloppy work from the factory there. You can see this little strand of wire that's sticking out there. See it? That's the wire I'm going to be putting on the fuse block. Okay, so I'll just cut this little zip tie off here. Okay, so I'm going to take and pull this yellow wire out of the hole here. There. I'll use my solder pump here, and I'll pick up all the excess solder here. See, I gotta clean and tin my iron again. And I'm going to be putting this block up here. So I'm going to cut about this much off. Strip it with the 18 gauge hole. Lay this back down. Twist my strands together. Okay, I'm going to have to pump that again. There we go. Lay it down. Put the wire in through the hole, make sure all the strands are in. Okay, I have to pump that one again. sure all our strands are together. Get them into the hole. That one just wants to be stubborn, it doesn't want to go in. See how you get one that's stubborn? You don't want to have a strand sticking out. There is a 18 gauge wire. It's going in the hole snug. It kind of wadded up on the end, so I'm going to cut that off again. Strip it nice and clean. Get all the strands twisted. There it is. Now all the strands are in. I'm going to turn it. Make sure no strands are showing. And I'll tip it back up this way. I'll put this under as like a little prop to hold the wire up while I solder it. I'll bend the strands down like they were from the factory. Okay, I covered up the hole there, got it all filled in. Okay, so I'm taking out this little zip tie here. I'll pull this yellow wire back down through. And put my fuse block down through here. Yeah, I just mounted up my little block here. So I'm going to solder this wire into here. And I'll twist in that strand that was sticking out. Dip it into the flux. I tend to put some solder on my iron. Okay, so we're going to clip off some of this wire we're not going to be using. Mount it into the block here. Okay, now this one I'm going to have to hold a little bit while I'm soldering it. Okay, first I'm going to start without flux in my iron after I cleaned it. Boy, that's a real nice clean solder joint. There's the back side of it on that side, and there's the back side on the yellow wire. Okay, so now I'll proceed to the mechanical assembly of this. So we'll set our fuse block down in here where it's going to go. Put our screw through here. Nut washer on here. Okay, so we'll cut the excess off here. I have to get the bigger cutters. I'll put it down this way so that it doesn't fly. There it is. And I'll stand it back up again. Okay, I want to get my block nice and straight. Okay, the fuse block is all nice and straight. Now we're ready to get some zip ties out. Okay, these wires were tied here with, we have to go back into this hole, get all four of these, back in, come around, okay, so I think I'll do it this way so that the lock part is inside the unit. Yeah, I want to make sure I got all four wires in there. Come around. my pliers reach down in here and get them back into place. Okay, I'll just clip off the extra zip tie at the end. Okay, now we'll get this yellow wire tied up here. Because I don't want that down in the way where it I'll zip tie it to the black wire. So I can go down in here, go under. Just clip the little extra off here. And I'll just look it over and I'll pull a little slack back so that's not quite a sharp bend at the solder connection here. And I'll get another little zip tie down in here. So I'll take you over and show you the fuses. And the reason I put a line fuse in here is, see these rectifier diodes here in the power supply, in the power capacitors here. If these short out, it can start overheating the transformer, and it can start getting very hot inside the transformer, and the transformer can short out, and it can start exceeding the amperage rating of this line cord, and this cord could short out and start a fire in your house. So we're going to put a fuse in here that's rated for like 1 amp, and this lamp cord is only rated for like maybe 7 or 8 amps because it's 18 gauge. I'm not exactly sure, but if the transformer shorts out and it's at the mercy of a 20 amp house fuse, the 20 amp house fuse may not blow before this cord shorts out and starts a fire. And I'll show you the fuses. Okay, see how small the little filament is in this 1 amp fuse we're putting in the tape deck? And look at your filaments inside your typical house fuse, the 15 and the 20 amp. While it's taking time for this or this to burn, that lamp cord gauge wire for the power cord can get very hot, and it possibly could short out and start a fire. And your circuit breakers in your house are equivalent to these fuses. And if you have the older fuse box and somebody put a 30 amp in, see how much bigger that filament is? And that would even be more dangerous if the unit shorted out inside and had to wait for this fuse to blow. So that's why I'm putting this fuse in, because it's a very small filament and it will blow before anything shorts out and starts a fire. So I'll give you a picture of the close-up of it all done. Okay, I'll let you just take a look at that and see how nice I did that. Okay, so I'll snap the fuse in, and now this unit does have overcurrent protection to protect from starting a fire.